Aici sunt, ole!
My name is Ioana Herceg, and I have been working for Hope and Homes for Children in Romania for 13 years. Hope and Homes for Children Romania is a charity that began its history in Romania in 1998 by closing down institutions in Maramureș County. Institutions, we mean orphanages for children. Our mission and vision are about children and about the fact that we see a world in which children no longer suffer institutional care, which means that we are trying, at least in Romania and also in other countries, to reform the child protection system and to make sure that children grow up in a loving family environment. I had the misfortune that I was part of closing large mammoth institutions in Romania, and I had the opportunity to see how children live there. I don't know if you can call that living, because they were merely existing. They lived in metal cots most of their time. Even if they were just babies, they would just lay there the whole day, except for feeding time when somebody would approach them and just feed them with mashed food. That was it. They could go on hours on end without being changed. There were children with special needs who would spend their entire day just rocking, all day, didn't do anything. The biggest change that we saw was when we entered those institutions and we started to do activities with them and we started to pay attention to them. We could see immense changes in them. And over the years, after we've moved those children away from there, we could see great progress. We had children who never walked, and a year after they moved into the small group home, they began to walk. We had children that they were given no chance to life, but they're still alive. Almost 20 years after that, they're still alive and they're doing well, and some of them are even independent. Institutions were damaging to children, and we saw this with our own eyes, and we were horrified, and we had to do something about this. And this is why we are here now. We're still continuing our journey, and we hope to finish our journey saying that there are no longer children living in institutions in Romania.
HHC has helped close down 53 institutions in Romania and is still working on closing the few large institutions that are left.
We are here in Botoșani County, in a small town on the eastern part of the county called Trușești. Here there is an institution for typical children with learning disabilities. In that building live about 22 boys, and in the other one 23 girls. The living conditions here are not as bad as they used to be during communism time, but still they lack a lot of things that the children could enjoy in a small group home. You can see that the furniture is quite destroyed, the beds are old, the bedding is old, the entire building is run down. It hasn't been refurbished or nothing has been done in here for a long time. They're actually not a very good environment. You can probably see and smell if you go inside, there's damp, maybe mold, and this is not very good for the health of the children. And we believe that we need to move these children into small group homes where they can have their own items, their own privacy, and where they can learn their independent living skills and provide them with a much better environment than this one. For children and young people in institutions, for whom we cannot find family solution like reintegration or foster care, we are looking into building alternative solutions. And always our alternative solutions have to be family-based. This means it has to be a family-type apartment or family-type home. A family-type home is like a regular house in where, you know, you have your bedroom, you have your bed, you have your own wardrobe, you have your own things, much, much closer to a family environment than any institution could be. We have a maximum of 12 children in a small group home. It could also be less than that, of course, but we believe that the maximum number should be no more than 12.
Besides closing institutions and finding better solutions for the children, HHC also supports young people leaving the child protection system.
A sensitive issue that we encountered when we are supporting children and young people to exit state care is the situation of young people who have to become independent and have to be on their own. This means they need extensive support because the institutional environment does not help them with acquiring proper independent living skills, and they find themselves quite lost. This is why we are trying to help these young people in finding jobs, supporting them with rent, and also in trying to become real functional individuals of the society. One such example is Ionuț, a young man from Botoșani County who amazingly managed to keep his job for 4 years. This is something rarely encountered in these young people because given the way they were raised and the amount of time they spent in institutions, they do not learn this type of skill growing up. So for him to be able to do this, it's amazing. And I think this is what we're trying to do for these kids, to try to get them to stay in touch with people who help them to be able to function on their own and to be able to have a nice and, you know, like interesting life.
HHC is also supporting families living in poverty to prevent separation of children and their families.
Our prevention work is one of the most important elements of our program. It means that we are trying to go to the grassroots of all the issues that sort of drive the child protection system, meaning the place where children start entering the child protection system. Families at risk are those families that, usually because of poverty, but also because of some abuse, they are in high danger of losing their children, of being separated from their children, and their children ending up in state care. We might identify they need heating stoves, or we might identify they need an extra room or a roof over their heads. And this is what we can do. We can actually buy those things for them with the help of our donors, of course, and we can improve their lives in such a way they no longer have to be separated from their children. In this way, we're trying to make our intervention sustainable. An example of such intervention in preventing children from being separated from their family is a family we had in Botoșani County that we supported, a family of 10 children who were in desperate need of water. They had been going with a wheelbarrow or with a sled, depending on the season, with a big barrel to get water from their neighbors. And it was quite difficult for them because, you know, how much water you need for all those children. And we identified this as being their most pressing need, and we dug a well for them. And this might not seem such a big deal, but it's quite life-changing for them.
Ajutorul ăsta reprezintă pentru noi, toată familia noastră, un ajutor foarte mare. Deci nu ne mai chinuim. La noi era asta un chin. Un chin era la noi, apa.
Sometimes our intervention can be even more extensive, which means that we might do some larger investments or make some larger investments in certain families. One such example is another family also in Botoșani County. a single mother of 5 children who had a very unfortunate accident. Their house burned down. They had to move in with their grandparents. It was quite difficult for them, and we decided to build them a new home. Of course, we will not be able to do what we are doing without the amazing support from our donors. The Velux Foundation is one of the organizations that is truly dedicated to children and to making a difference in many people's lives. And we are very, very grateful that they decided to bring light to families and children in need in Romania.